Bartenders of Reddit, what was the weirdest/craziest thing you have overheard while making someone's drink? The first restaurant/bar I worked in, I was only serving, but I frequently was in the section right next to the bar. One day I was busy serving a large group, but the restaurant was mostly empty and a guy behind me at the bar said, "You want to pet my parrot?" My initial reaction was the same as if a stranger had just come up behind me and touched my shoulders, but when I turned around, it really was a guy with a parrot on his shoulder. The parrot's name was Bobby, and yes, both the bartender and I pet him. Smiley face. Surprisingly heartwarming. Thanks for that. A married couple in their 50s arguing how they were going to explain the fact they couldn't pay the remainder of the €3 million bill for a Ferris wheel they'd ordered 18 months ago, already put $1 million deposit on, and whose collection was due at 8 a.m. the following morning. Han, the people are here to repossess the Ferris wheel. At first, I thought it was Ferrari, then I read what it actually said and everything stopped making sense, laughing out loud. That is a story I want to hear from them directly. Sounds like a crazy ride. This happened in 2019 in Amsterdam. They were an American couple, and the wheel was due to be transported under their supervision upon collection in 16 huge parts that required 3 flatbed trucks to do so. They had played along, seemingly awaiting a Hail Mary solution. They didn't tip. I would love to see this done in a mini-series that follows this couple through all the bizarre hijinks of trying to acquire the cash and then the ultimate acceptance of it not working out. I imagine a mix between Ozark and Arrested Development. I have so many questions right now. This one is wild, I love it. I once had to ask a woman to remove her infant from the bar top. She put them on the floor. I really don't miss bartending. Ugh, people bringing in kids. I worked at the dirtiest punk rock bar imaginable for a bit years ago. We did some trade in food, mostly vegan stuff. One brunch, this dude comes in with 2 young kids, and sits down to order brunch. We tried to warn him away, but he was adamant on staying. He complained when F the Pain Away by Peaches came on the jukebox. Like, I'm here with my kids. This is inappropriate. Yes, it is inappropriate. Where do you think you are right now? As someone that's been playing in punk bands and punk bars for about 27 years, the idea of a punk bar that has brunch is simultaneously the least and most punk thing I've ever heard, and I love it. Sunday brunch was the first solid food a lot of these guys had had since Friday. It was a public service. Very good point. The majority of punk bars across the world won't serve food unless the local laws require it. We have one here that serves sandwiches all around the clock. 3 a.m. sandwiches are the best. What most people don't know, the punk bar that is bustling around midnight is also open at 5 p.m. and many regulars enjoying a coffee or an after-work beer before heading elsewhere. I'm so in for punk brunch. Where do I sign up? Mum, you need to put your kid in a high chair. Now, can I offer you a kamikaze? And what'll the kid be drinking? Customer speaking to his friend, "Mate, I can't believe you couldn't get it up for her. I mean, I would have just effed the bitch soft and use a shoehorn or something. Me, that'll be £9. Thumbing it in. Microflex. Well, his friend should have took his word for it. Was tending bar at my local pub. Loads of old boys used to come in and get properly razzled. One day, I am polishing glasses and they'd been day drinking and it was around 7 p.m. I hear this almighty crash and turn around. One of them has fallen off their bar stool. Total silence, then one guy just loudly declares, "Didn't spill a drop." The whole pub erupts with laughter. Guy who fell off still stands up, tips his hat, and went home. Don't know if this is common, but was sitting at a bar with a band. It was noisy and crowded. Some girl comes up next to where I was sitting and tells the bartender, "Excuse me, but I just saw that guy, customer, right there put something in that girl's drink." I didn't see the guy she pointed to. Bartender turns around and said something, I suspect a code word to somebody, and bam. Immediately all the lights go on, the manager steps on stage, stops the band, and makes the following announcement: "Attention, We have a report that someone in this room possibly drugged a young lady's drink. We request that all women here immediately put down your drink and don't take another sip. We will replace your drink for free. If you are that young lady, we will notify you when you come to the bar. If anyone is feeling sick or weak, please let us know. Wow. Light stayed on. Band remained off. For a long time, maybe an hour. Cheers from the crowd and nobody complained. Don't know what the guy did because I didn't know which guy it was. That place rocks. Man, if I heard a bar did that, that would be my go-to bar forever. Love it. I want to go to that bar just because of this story. Man and woman is sitting at the bar. She starts crying and says, I just want us to have something special. The guy looked her dead in the eyes and said, we do have something special, we have sex. We are both married. 10 minutes later, they are making out and she's rubbing his dick over his pants. I loved slow Wednesdays. But were they married to each other? That's a negative. After the makeout session, I got to hear about their spouses. Oh boy. I had a waiter at a restaurant tell me once about this weird married couple who would come in on dates and always split the bill in half and only pay for their portion. He said he knew they were married because they were wearing rings. I suggested they might be married to other people. And watched the light bulb moment happen, haha. He just never clicked, I guess. I had a couple of regulars at a restaurant I worked at do this. They were married to one another but wanted both to earn points on their cards. A lot of times when split down the middle, one would pay a penny more than the other, so they'd see whose card had the extra penny, and the loser got to buy them both dessert. They'd get excited and a bit happily competitive about it. It was quite cute. I had to listen to a couple do this on a flight from Michigan to Seattle. It got pretty dirty, and I could hear them through my headphones the whole way. When we landed, they got in a fight about some of the details he had made up when he was pretending to be someone else. I knew a guy that was an amazing bartender. He'd get random BS drink names all the time and he'd make them perfectly. Can I get a sexy mosquito? Sure, what color? Pink. I can do pink. Combines random crap, here you go. It's good. Yeah, I know. Just like last time. It was always hilarious. Asking what color is a nice touch. Former bartender here. Best advice I ever received for crazy drink requests was make it strong, make it red. Odds are they have no idea what the drink is either, and even if the color is completely wrong, few people are going to complain about a strong, tasty cocktail. I always thought it was funny to order something fairly well known. Old-fashioned. I've never heard of that one before. What is it? I swear to God I once had this exchange at a sushi place. Me, could I get a rum and coke? Owner, a what? Me, rum and coke. The owner looks at me confused, I grab a drinks menu, and pointing at it. Me, rum. And Coca-Cola. Owner, with a confused expression, oh, I see. 10 minutes passes, and the owner returns with a pint glass half full of rum, and a bottle of Coke. Owner, okay, now what? Doing everything I could to keep a straight face, I poured some of the Coke into the glass, while this guy watched intently. Laughing out loud, reminds me of a bar in some village in Baden-Württemberg. I'd had enough of beer and, while they didn't have actual whiskey, I figured I'd order whatever Jack Daniels/Jim Beam type thing they had on offer. Clearly this was not a common request, since the bartender proceeded to pick up the bottle, put a single into a far too large glass, frowned, poured some more. And some more. And some more. And served me effectively a long drink glass full of bourbon. I like to imagine that after he closed, he decided to try it for himself, and had a very good night. Last time I ordered an old-fashioned, the place was rammed and my guy kept getting distracted, added the bourbon 4 times, stuck a slice of orange in it and just handed me the glass. It was a good night. That honestly sounds like a pretty good outcome. I try to avoid ordering anything complex when it's busy, both to help out the bartender and because I live in eternal fear of essentially being served a glass of bitters with garnish. You had a chance to name it after yourself. You were this close to glory. Laughing out loud, bet they went to the back and started trying to mix it too. Oh God, could you imagine? Every time someone orders rum and Coke from then on, oh, You mean a bartender? What better way to be immortalized? My dad used to go to a sushi place pretty much every week for a few years, and eventually he got to know the owner really well. After a while, the guy would just use my dad as a lab rat to try out new dishes, and while I don't think he named any after my dad, a few of them would eventually end up on the menu. One of the guys at the bar recognized me, somehow. He said he knew my mother, and dropped her name, somehow. He apparently met her at a BDSM club. Somehow. Your mom, at her BDSM club, so anyway, here are some pictures of my kid, Jesty One. Look at the pictures, slave. These could be your children, but you can't even get your tiny little dick up, can you? You're worthless. It's always weird the first time you meet your dad. Give it time. That reminds me of my aunt, she was a dominatrix long time ago. Former bartender. There were quite a few regulars I was fond of, but there was one in particular that I couldn't let my guard down around. He was off in some way and I immediately didn't trust him. Slightly older than middle age. He introduces himself and I get his drink, as you do, and after a bit he starts on about his life. Wife left him near a decade ago with 2 little ones to raise on his own. Must have been rough, I say. Ash, yeah, but I've worked hard and done right by my kids. Well, cheers to that. Over time, I hear him tell the same story the same way to several others, most who had heard it many times before. One evening he comes in later than usual. Hi, how you doing? I say, though I can tell he is in a foul mood. No harm, happens to the best of us. He sits near enough to the well with another gent I didn't see in there much. Other gents seemed to be having lady troubles and Shifty Regular had all the wrong answers. In a hushed and angry tone, he said he took care of his own problem 10 years ago and made sure no one would ever find the bitch. Well, that escalated quickly. I witnessed a complete relationship between 2 women over the course of one night. They met early in the night. They were clearly into each other. Very flirty. They danced and drank the night way. They started making out and then disappeared for some time. Next time I saw them they were at each other's throats. No clue what happened, but it ended with one saying, "I never want to see you again." Then stormed out of the bar. After that night, I never saw either of them again. They just speedrun the entire relationship. That is the lesbian way. If they had made it back to one's house and made it through breakfast the next morning without a disagreement, they'd probably live together for 30 years. I am reminded of a Malcolm in the Middle episode with Francis, oldest brother, going through the same thing at Malcolm's school event. Guy by himself, should I make it a double? Same guy by himself, yeah, I think you should. Yes, you should. Other Barry, yes, you should. Now that's just funny. This is me. I only realized how much when I had a new date over to my place for the first time. I was cooking him supper and doing my usual hum around and comment on all the things I'm doing. And he was like, "Are you muttering under your breath about me?" And I had to embarrassingly say, "No, I'm talking to the food." Since someone suggested narcissism, I want to defend the guy. It wasn't accusatory, he just likes teasing, and so do I. It's cute and we laugh a lot. No need to worry about me. If someone showed narcissism, I'd run very far, very fast. Too many to count, and I've only been at it like 3.5 years. I've seen. We should see other people convos, awkward Tinder meetups, regulars who come in with a different girl every time, a regular whose wife I know, come in with someone else. Another regular come in looking her husband, who was with someone else earlier that day. I got a couple now that I adore, but she is always wearing a very fancy but obvious submissive collar. I lost count of how many men my dad's age and up will ask me for my number. My most awkward to this day though was a couple who literally followed me from one bar to the next when I changed jobs, and then asked me to watch their dog for a second while they went outside. Turns out they were breaking up after 10 years together. I still saw them each after then, but never on the same day. Like they decided ahead of time who got me when. It was worse than when my parents were separated, laughing my butt off. Imagine getting a second family by working, lucky life to live. Complete with a family pet. Are we talking about the submissive collared lady or the dog? I get to go to the bar on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. You can take Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, and then we'll alternate on Wednesdays. My ex said it's my turn to go to the bar now. Was _ here yesterday? How much did he tip? Never mind, don't tell me. Probably nothing, that deadbeat. But really, how much? I worked in an open kitchen. A friend came in with a new girl and sat right in front of the line. They're having such a nice time, so happy for them. About halfway through their second bottle of wine, his date's loose-fitting shoulder shruggy type shirt falls a little too down and her bare breast is fully out. He doesn't even notice, sitting close on the same side of the booth. It's hilarious but oh snap. I get the server to go talk to them and let her know. Pretty awesome. Same server also saved a man's life after realizing he was choking to death. He left the restaurant because he was embarrassed he was choking. She followed him and got him as he was collapsing outside. Lil 1-2 Heimlich and she popped it out. She is still my very good friend and a total effing legend. He left the restaurant because he was embarrassed he was choking. She followed him and got him as he was collapsing outside. Lil 1-2 Heimlich and she popped it out. LPT, if you're choking, don't worry about being embarrassed. That's awesome that the server noticed. You better believe if I am dying, I am causing a scene. People just don't realize they are dying initially. Think oof, this is uncomfortable and inconvenient, I best go to a quiet place to cough my insides up in privacy. And only realize it's impossible to put in more effort when it's too late. I'm with you. If I'm choking, I'll grab the nearest person by the throat so they can at least empathize with me as I die. Loads of stories of people dying in the bathrooms from choking on food. Folks run off to try and cough it up, but if you cannot breathe, you need to tell someone. Honestly. If you're alone and now cannot stop choking, you won't be able to go back and get help. If you are choking, don't be embarrassed because these are people you know and will help you. Web link. If you're ever alone and choking, you can lean yourself over the back of a chair and simulate the pumping motion of the loving and firm embrace of a distressed stranger. I did the Heimlich on a guest this week. Seen it twice, but first time I ever did it. I was taking the next table's order and he walked over and interrupted and I realized and just dropped my try and went into go mode. Only 3 tables even saw it. All happened so fast. He was fine. He made no big deal out of it all. Also little known but Senior Heimlich went a little crazy on all these other beneficial uses of the Heimlich which were all bogus. Bad enough to the point where his children were estranged and wanted nothing to do with him. Think there is a radio lab on it. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.